The first year in federal prison is designed to break a man. For Marcus Showtime Black, it was a forge. The news of Simone's betrayal, confirmed by the damning evidence of Keisha's sudden wealth, had burned away the man he was. The love, the hope, the belief in loyalty. It all turned to ash. In its place, something cold, hard, and infinitely more dangerous began to form. He was no longer Showtime, the flashy king of Atlanta. In the stark, brutal world of concrete and steel, he became a ghost, a quiet, observant force that everyone knew not to test. He spent his days in the prison law library, not studying his own case, but devouring books on business law, finance, and corporate structures. He learned about shell corporations, hostile takeovers, and leveraged buyouts. He realized the games played on Wall Street weren't so different from the ones played on Peachtree. The language was just cleaner, the betrayals hidden in spreadsheets instead of back alleys. His nights were spent in the prison kitchen. He'd bribed a guard to get the assignment, seeking not just a distraction, but a discipline. He found a strange peace in the controlled chaos of the dinner rush, learning the art of flavor, the science of temperature, and the importance of quality ingredients. He wasn't just cooking, he was studying a craft, honing a new skill with the same intensity he once applied to his illicit empire. His food, rich with soul and complex flavors, became a form of currency, earning him respect and favors from guards and inmates alike. His most crucial alliance was with a man named Arthur Vance, a disgraced 60-year-old Wall Street wizard doing a 5-year bid for insider trading. Arthur saw the raw intelligence and burning focus in Marcus's eyes and took him under his wing. Over countless games of chess, Arthur taught Marcus the real secrets of wealth. Not how to make it, but how to move it, how to hide it, and how to use it as a weapon. "Anyone can be rich, kid," Arthur would rasp, moving a pawn with his wrinkled hand. "But wealth is about power. It's about owning the board so your opponent can't even make a move without your permission." Marcus absorbed every word, his mind transforming from a street king's to a corporate raider's. While Marcus was being reborn in fire, Simone was being reborn in the sun. In Miami, she had shed her old skin and emerged as Lena Solaris, a name as bright and artificial as the city itself. With Marcus's $2 million, she didn't just open a business. She bought an identity. She acquired a small, floundering tech company, and using a stolen revolutionary algorithm she'd purchased on the dark web, she rebranded it as Solaris Media. The company, which specialized in predicting viral social media trends, exploded. Lena Solaris became a Miami icon, celebrated in magazines as a brilliant, self-made CEO. She lived in a waterfront mansion on Star Island, drove a pearl-white Bentley, and her parties were the stuff of legend. She was powerful, admired, and, she believed, completely untouchable. She had successfully laundered not just Marcus's money, but her own past. The timid, ambitious girl from Atlanta was gone, replaced by a ruthless, polished executive who never ever looked back. Years bled into one another. Marcus's 10-year sentence was reduced to 8 for good behavior. The day he walked out of the federal penitentiary, he was a changed man. He was leaner, harder, his eyes holding the patient cold of a predator. He had no money, no crew, and no empire. All he had was a bus ticket back to Atlanta and a meticulously crafted plan. He arrived in a city that had all but forgotten him, took a cheap room, and got a job as a line cook at a downtown diner. He was invisible, a ghost in his own city, and it was the perfect cover. He saved every dollar, his discipline absolute. After 6 months of grueling 16-hour days, he had enough to buy a beat-up, rusty food truck. He spent weeks restoring it himself, his hands, once used to counting stacks of cash, now greasy with engine oil and covered in paint. He named it Phoenix, a symbol of his resurrection from the ashes of his former life. If you're enjoying this story, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next episode. He parked the Phoenix food truck in the heart of the city, near the Georgia State campus, and started selling just 3 things: jerk chicken plates with rice and peas, 5 cheese-baked mac and cheese, and slow-braised collard greens. The food was intoxicating, born from a craft perfected in the unlikeliest of places. The word spread like wildfire on social media. The lines grew longer each day. One afternoon, a sleek, black Porsche Panamera pulled up near the truck. The tinted window rolled down, and behind the oversized designer sunglasses was a face he hadn't seen in 8 years, but had pictured in his mind a million times. It was Keisha. She looked him up and down, her perfectly glossed lips parted in a mixture of shock and pity. "Marcus? Oh my God, is that you?" Marcus wiped the sweat from his brow and gave her a tired, broken smile. This was the first move on the chessboard. "Keisha," he said, his voice raspy. "Long time no see." "I heard you got out," she said, her eyes scanning the shabby truck with a look of distaste she barely tried to hide. This is what you're doing now?" "A man's gotta eat," he said with a hollow shrug, playing the part of the defeated ex-con to perfection. "Prison changes you. That old life, it's over. I'm just trying to go straight, you know? Live quiet." A flicker of relief, of superiority crossed her face. He was no longer a threat. He was just a cook in a truck. A relic. "Well, it's good to see you're doing—" "Okay," she said, the condescension in her voice as thick as honey. "Listen, if you ever need anything, a friendly ear, let me know. For old time's sake." She gave him her number, a gesture of pity that was, to him, a declaration of war. The game had begun. Marcus began to call Keisha. He kept it simple at first, playing the part of a lonely, humbled man, completely lost in a world that had moved on without him. He never once asked about Simone, knowing he had to let her bring it up. Keisha, flattered by the attention from the ghost of the legendary Showtime, took the bait. She saw him as a project, a charity case that fed her ego. She'd meet him for coffee, offering him patronizing advice on his little food business. She loved being the one with the power, looking down from her Buckhead condo at the man who once owned the city. Marcus, in turn, was a master of seduction. He listened patiently as she complained about her demanding job, her string of disappointing boyfriends. He made her feel seen, understood, appreciated. He would bring her food from his truck, remembering she liked extra spice, a small detail that made her feel special. One night after a particularly successful week, he invited her to his small, clean but Spartan apartment. He cooked for her, not the food from his truck, but a gourmet meal he had perfected in his mind over years of practice. Pan-seared scallops with a saffron risotto. The lights were low, the music was soft jazz. He told her how much her friendship meant to him, how she was the only person from his old life who had shown him any kindness. "You know," Keisha said, swirling the expensive wine she had brought, her eyes a little hazy, "Simone would be proud of you, the way you're turning your life around." There it was, the opening. Marcus kept his expression neutral, a mask of faint, weary sadness. "I don't think about her anymore," he lied smoothly. "That's a closed chapter. She made her choice. I hope she's happy, wherever she is." This was the answer Keisha wanted to hear. It meant the path was clear. That night, fueled by wine and her own soaring ego, she leaned across the small table and kissed him. Marcus kissed her back, his mind cold and clear as ice. As his lips met hers, he wasn't feeling passion. He was feeling victory. He was sleeping with the enemy. If you're enjoying this story, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Their affair began. It was a calculated, strategic relationship for Marcus, a conquest of ego and passion for Keisha. In the intimacy of the bedroom, in moments of post-coital carelessness, she began to talk. He learned snippets about Simone's new life, that she was in Miami, that she had a new name, Lena Solaris, that she was in tech and had become incredibly, almost unbelievably successful. Keisha, in her arrogance and desire to impress him with her proximity to this success, would let these details slip. She loved the dramatic irony of telling Marcus about the woman who had betrayed him, not realizing she was handing him the bullets for the gun he was slowly assembling. "Can you believe it?" she'd laugh. "She's some kind of tech genius now. Who knew?" As his relationship with Keisha deepened, so did his business. The Phoenix food truck was so successful that it caught the eye of an investor. It was Arthur Vance, his old mentor from prison, now free and looking to put his money to work in a legitimate enterprise with a man he trusted. Arthur saw the lines around the block, tasted the food, and knew Marcus had found his new product. Together, they didn't just open a restaurant. They opened a sleek, upscale lounge in a revitalized part of the old Fourth Ward, right on the Beltline. They called it Phoenix, and with its incredible food, craft cocktails, and Marcus's innate understanding of atmosphere and vibe, it became the undisputed hottest spot in Atlanta. The city's athletes, musicians, and power brokers all vied for a table. Within 2 years, Marcus was a legitimate millionaire again. He moved out of his small apartment and into a modern, minimalist mansion in Chastain Park. He traded his work boots for Tom Ford's. He was no longer the man in the food truck. He was a king again. But this time, his kingdom was built on a solid legal foundation, and his name was on the deed. He was opening his second and third locations. He still saw Keisha, but the power dynamic had shifted entirely. He was no longer her project. He was once again a man of immense power, wealth, and influence, this time all legal. She was more drawn to him now than ever, addicted to the power he radiated. She was desperate to be the new queen to his new kingdom, and in her desperation to prove her loyalty and her value to him, she was about to give him the final, crucial piece of information he needed to set his ultimate revenge in motion. One evening, as they looked over the plans for his new Buckhead location, she said casually, "You know, Lena's company is having some trouble. I heard from a friend she's looking for new investors to help her expand. She's gotten into some shady deals to grow so fast, and she's over-leveraged." Marcus kept his face a perfect mask of disinterest, but inside his mind was racing. Over-leveraged, shady deals. It was the weakness he had been waiting for. "Is that so?" he said calmly. "Well, that's Miami business. Has nothing to do with us here in Atlanta." But he knew with chilling certainty that it had everything to do with him. The endgame was about to begin. Before you go, tap that like button, leave a comment to let us know what you think, and subscribe so you're always the first to hear our next story. Your support keeps these stories coming.